February 8, 2023. Wrong impression. When Talia opened the doors to her home, I was blown away by how beautiful she looked in an orange dress that paired perfectly with her brown skin, and I couldn't miss the white carnation that rested elegantly in her blonde dreadlocks. "You look so wow," I stammered. "Thanks, Jamarcus," Talia giggled, with the shy confidence that I adored. "Please come in." I stepped across the threshold and did a double take. Her house was big, really big, so big, in fact, that it wasn't a house, it was a mansion. There were huge African art paintings on the walls, long, sleek, expensive-looking drapes, and white marble floors that were recently polished. Yep, I bet they were. As I stepped onto that sparkling floor, my hand-me-down shoes felt like they were seconds away from slipping from under my feet. Walking further into the living room, I clenched my core to avoid falling and tried my best to not let Talina see me sweat. A week earlier, when she gave me her address, Talia had somehow forgotten to tell me that she lived in Baldwin Hills, one of the wealthiest black neighborhoods in Los Angeles. I, on the other hand, lived at the bottom of the hill in the Crenshaw area, near in distance, but worlds apart in lifestyle. My family's apartment was small. The living room I was standing in could engulf it 3 times over. We didn't have much art, and we definitely didn't have any elegant jobs. We just used the plans that were there when we moved in. This girl was rich. How could I possibly impress her? I thought back just a couple of weeks to when I met Talia. She was a volunteer in my Vans office, and her job was helping people in the waiting room. I admired her for doing that kind of work, and I loved that she pronounced my name right the first time. I ended up waiting a really long time for the van to see my dog, Midnight. So Talia and I struck up a conversation. I discovered that she's in 8th grade too, and we talked about our different middle schools, and eventually about our futures. I told her I want to be a hip-hop producer and make beats for rappers. "That's so cool. I'm not sure what I want to do," Talia told me, but quietly added that her parents want her to follow in their footsteps. Before I could ask what footsteps those might be, I was called to see the vet. Thankfully, the dog looked midnight over and declared that he was in good shape, and I prepared to leave the office. I felt relieved and in good spirits. So I took a chance and asked Talia if she would like to come with me to my school dance in 2 weeks. To my surprise, she said yes. And now here I was in her treble-sized living room. Have a seat, she told me, pointing toward the sofa. You look really nice. Score, I thought. I thanked her and took a seat on what turned out to be a super plus coach, sinking so far in that I worried I wouldn't be able to get up. At just that moment, 3 more people entered the room, so I tightened my core again, pushed hard against the couch, and thankfully was able to stand up straight. As I stood at attention, I wondered, well, what are these fancy folks going to think of me? They were Talia's family, of course. Her mother introduced herself first. Hello, I'm Bianca Grace. Bianca Grace. With a big smile. She looked more like Talia's big sister. A little taller, with shorter locks. Then came Talia's actual big sister, Kim, who was shorter with long hair flowing down her back. Behind them was Talia's dad, who was the spitting image of Kim, if Kim had been bald with freckles that danced around think glasses. Talia's father shook my hand and said, Daniel Grace, happy to meet you. And I introduced myself, still feeling a little awkward. In short order, however, we all got caught up in a casual conversation about the beautiful black neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Then let's move on to other topics, where I felt I was holding my own. Mission accomplished. But right before it was time to leave, I spied a bunch of diplomas on the wall. 2 of them were the words Doctor of Medicine, permanently displayed. Mr. Grace followed my glance and explained that he and his wife were both medical doctors. And Talia's father added, Kim is in college and is studying to become an MD too. Talia, you're next, the female Dr. Grace said, smiling at her daughter. Well, Talia's dad hugged her head. Kim offered a wink. Talia smiled and nodded yes, more shy than confident this time. Aha. So those were the footsteps Talia would be following. I couldn't stop thinking. Here I was, the poor boy from Cressron, stuck between 2.5 doctors and 1 more on the way. They are all following a golden, prestigious career path, while I'd already told Talia about my less than surefire dream of becoming a hip-hop producer. Before I could take in any more information, Talia's mom asked, "And what are you thinking you will do with your life, Jamarcus?" Why that question? Why now? I stared at multiple walls full of academic degrees and artwork, and those distinguished walls stared right back at me. I clamped and said what I knew Talia would want me to see. I'm, uh, I'm thinking about becoming a doctor too. The room awed and odd. I mean, I did want to become a doctor, but more like Dr. Diary, making beats in a studio. So maybe it wasn't a complete lie. Then Big Sister Kim asked, isn't that a coincidence, Jimicus? What kind of doctor are you thinking of becoming? Seemed like Kim was onto me, but I was 2 steps ahead. I want to be an ENT, I replied, a doctor for the ears, nose, and throat. I had heard the phrase ENT in a radio ad just before I left home. And this also wasn't a total lie, isn't Dr. Derry? Like a doctor for the ears, rap music has always healed me. More odds and O's told me that I had impressed them. Surely Talia was impressed too. But then I noticed her looking down, back at me, and down again. Or maybe not. Kim gave us a ride to the dance. During the jam, the energy was different. And when we got out to the car and were walking to the school entrance, Talia stopped. Is something wrong? I asked. Jimacus, she replied. You seem different than before. What's all this stuff about being a doctor? I thought you want to do music. My core was tight as ever, but it wasn't in my control this time. I had to come clean. I wanted to impress you and your family, so I said what I thought your parents would want to hear. They are doctors, rich doctors. Why would they want some no money having kids taking their doctor out? So you lied? I'm not saying it's right, but I had to. If they didn't like me, then you wouldn't like me. But I do like you, she said. Well, I like the guy I met at the vet's office anyway. I wanted to go to the dance with him. Oh, I said, smiling a little now. I mean, he's here, and he likes you too, and I'm sorry. Okay then, it's cool, she said, because I have a confession too. Talia put me in close and whispered, I don't want to be a doctor either. Are you serious? We both broke out in loud laughter. It made sense. Talia didn't know what she wanted to be when she grew up, but she thought that it would be what her parents did. She hadn't really been upfront with them either. Finding common ground, we left some more and walked into the school dance. Talia and I danced all night, and through it all we kept the conversation going. We planned to eventually stand in our shoes and confess our actual dreams and plans to her parents. Okay, maybe not tonight, but sometime in our future. Thank you for watching.